3, 2, 1, go. Thursday night college basketball action. This is Across the Board with Jeff Grant here at SBRforum.com. Going to head back to the Big Ten Conference, and we've had good success in the Big Ten during the course of the year, and especially this week with a pair of totals that have actually grabbed us the cash. We're going to look to do it again here with one of the better matchups on Thursday's card, and that is the Indiana Hoosiers versus the Illinois Fighting Illini at Assembly Hall in Champaign, Illinois. And the Hoosiers opened up as 8-point road favorites. That number has been knocked down in the betting market to 7.5, 7, while the total has risen from an opener of 147.5 to 149. When you look at the Indiana Hoosiers, they ride in on a 5-game win streak, reclaiming their top spot in the rankings. That includes an 81-73 victory, and really the biggest game in college basketball to date over the Michigan Wolverines as 5.5-point home favorites. They've outscored their opponents during their current 5-game run by an average of 16.2 points per game, and they are second nationally in point differential, outscoring foes by 22.8 points for the entire 2012-13 campaign. Head coach Tom Crean, has anybody had a better 7 days than him, coming off that win against the Wolverines and then watching his two brother-in-laws battle it out in the Super Bowl? Of course, John Harbaugh and the Baltimore Ravens picking up that victory over Jim Harbaugh and the San Francisco 49ers. He didn't fly back to Bloomington until Monday afternoon. Could have a little something to do with preparation in terms of getting ready for an opponent that really needs a victory to help its tournament resume. Through 22 games this year, the big difference for this team has been on the defensive end. They are holding opponents to 37.7% shooting. Just to put that in perspective, Indiana was one of the better teams in the nation last year, but they allowed opponents to shoot 42.4% from the floor. Also, rebounding margin, they lead the Big Ten in out-rebounding opponents by 10.2 boards per game. That is 7 boards higher than what they finished with last year. They haven't won their first 5 Big Ten road games since the 1992-93 season, and they haven't faced a lot of world beaters during this stretch on the road in the Big Ten. Purdue, Northwestern, Penn State, and Iowa, not exactly the likes of playing Michigan or Michigan State or even Minnesota on the road. Illinois is a step below those 3 opponents, but probably in between the 4 opponents that I just mentioned, in the fact that the Hoosiers have picked up those 4 victories. Cody Zeller, the center, is the key player to watch offensively. He scored a game-high 22 points in last year's 84-71 win in this series as 5.5-point home favorites. And he has 5 double-doubles in 9 conference games this year, averaging 16.1 points and 8.9 rebounds during that stretch. When you look at Illinois, they really need a victory here. Things have kind of gone south after a solid non-conference schedule, which includes a victory over the Gonzaga Bulldogs, a team that I would compare offensively to the Indiana Hoosiers. The Fighting Illini have lost 6 of the last 7 games, coming off a 74-68 setback to the Wisconsin Badgers as 1.5-point home underdogs, and they've allowed opponents to shoot 51.3% from the field during their current 3-game losing streak. They're going to need to pick up their defensive intensity against one of the better offensive-minded opponents in the country. 2-20 all-time versus #1 ranked teams in the history of the program, but it's important to note that both those victories have happened in Champaign, and the Illinois Fighting Illini have won 9 of their last 10 games versus the Indiana Hoosiers on this floor. With all that being said, I'm going to look toward the total. I think there's value with the movement that went upwards. I could see why that happened, but I'm going to play the under. I've been looking at a lot of comments coming out of Champaign, and it's been all about defense. And if Illinois has any chance of covering this spread or even winning this game outright, it's going to have to start on the defensive end. So my official pick on this game is going to be under 149 in Thursday's game between the Indiana Hoosiers and Illinois Fighting Illini. This has been another edition of Across the Board with Jeff Grant here at SBRforum.com.